What if the most destructive force in your life wasn't an external enemy, but an internal one? An enemy that lives inside your own mind, waiting for the smallest provocation to seize control, poison your thoughts, and burn down the bridges you've spent years building. I'm talking about anger. We've all been there. A thoughtless comment from a coworker, a driver cutting you off in traffic, a plan that falls apart at the last second, a tiny spark, and then the inferno. Your heart pounds, your vision narrows, and words you'll later regret boil up from a place you don't recognize. In that moment, you are not in control. You are a puppet, and your anger is the master. We've been told that anger is a natural response, sometimes even a sign of strength. But the ancient Stoics, some of the wisest observers of the human condition, knew the truth. They called anger a brief madness, a temporary insanity that costs us our peace, our relationships, and our reason. They understood that a person who is easily angered is easily controlled. But they also left us a blueprint, a set of powerful mental tools to not just manage this madness, but to dismantle it at its source. This isn't about suppressing your feelings or becoming an emotionless robot. It's about achieving a rare and powerful form of freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of your own anger. Stay with me, because today we are going to learn how to control this fire before it controls you. The first step on this journey is to fundamentally change how you see anger. We tend to view it as an unstoppable wave, a reflex that just happens to us. The Stoics would challenge this. They argued that anger is not a reflex, but a result of a specific choice we make, often in a fraction of a second. It is the result of a judgment, specifically the judgment that we have been harmed or wronged, and that a hostile response is appropriate. Think about that. An event happens. Someone says something or does something. That event, in and of itself, is neutral. It's just a fact. It's the story we tell ourselves about that fact that ignites the anger. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man in the world during his time, wrote in his private journal, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is a revolutionary idea. The traffic jam isn't making you angry. Your judgment that the traffic jam is a personal injustice ruining your day is what's making you angry. Your coworker's comment isn't what's hurting you. Your judgment that their comment was a deliberate attack on your competence is what's hurting you. This shifts the power entirely. If our anger is caused by our own judgments, then we have the power to change those judgments. We are no longer victims of our emotions. We become architects of our inner state. The Stoics believed that between the stimulus, the event, and our response, there is a space. And in that space lies our power and our freedom. Our entire mission is to learn how to expand that space. To truly grasp this, let's look at the story of Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher and an advisor to the infamous Emperor Nero. Seneca wrote an entire treatise called On Anger, and he saw firsthand how this emotion could corrupt even the most powerful. He tells the story of a governor named Piso who, in a fit of rage, sentenced a soldier to death for returning from a mission without his comrade, assuming the soldier had killed him. As the execution was about to happen, the missing comrade miraculously appeared. The centurion in charge of the execution, seeing this, halted the proceeding and brought both soldiers back to Piso, expecting a pardon. But Piso's anger, instead of subsiding, now had 3 new targets. He was angry that the first soldier was proven innocent, angry at the centurion for disobeying his order, and angry at the second soldier for causing all the trouble. In a tripling of his madness, he sentenced all three to die. The first because the sentence had already been passed, the centurion for insubordination, and the second for being the cause of his comrades' deaths. This is a terrifying illustration of where anger leads. It doesn't seek justice, it seeks a victim. It doesn't solve problems, it multiplies them. Now, you and I might not be Roman governors, but the pattern is the same. We get angry about one thing and lash out at another. We snap at our families because of a bad day at work. We hold on to a grudge for years over a misunderstanding that could have been cleared up in minutes. The cost is immense. Anger, as Seneca said, is the most hideous and frenzied of all the emotions. It's an acid that does more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. So how do we break the cycle? How do we move from this profound understanding to practical application in our messy, everyday lives? The Stoics were not armchair philosophers. They were intensely practical. They gave us clear, actionable strategies. Let's call the first one the Stoic checkpoint. When you feel that first spark of anger, the clenched jaw, the rising heat, the racing heart, your only job is to do one thing. Pause. Create a space. Don't speak. Don't act. Just stop. The ancient advice was to count to 10. A better piece of advice might be to recite the alphabet in your head. Do anything that puts a momentary break between the stimulus and your habitual explosive response. In this pause, you are taking back control from your primitive brain and giving it to your rational mind. This pause is your checkpoint. It's where you get to decide if you want to proceed down the familiar, destructive road of rage or choose a different path. Once you've created that pause, you move to the second and most critical technique. Question your impressions. This is the essence of cognitive therapy, which was directly inspired by Stoicism. You have to interrogate the thoughts that are fueling your anger. Become a detective of your own mind. Ask yourself a series of simple, clarifying questions. Is this really true? The story I'm telling myself, is it the absolute 100% truth? Or is it an interpretation? My boss didn't reply to my email. My instant impression is, he's ignoring me. He thinks my work is unimportant. But is that the only possibility? Could he be in a meeting? Could he be dealing with a family emergency? Could he simply have missed it? Questioning your first impression introduces doubt, and doubt is like water on the fire of anger. Another powerful question, is this in my control? The traffic is not in your control. The weather is not in your control. The past is certainly not in your control. As the Stoic Epictetus taught, our chief task in life is to separate what is in our control from what is not. Our thoughts, our judgments, our actions, these are ours. Everything else is not. Wasting anger on things outside of our control is, in the Stoic view, the definition of insanity. It's like yelling at the rain to stop. The rain doesn't care. All you do is make yourself miserable and wet. And perhaps the most humbling question, what is a more virtuous or constructive way to respond? Anger often feels righteous, but it rarely leads to a righteous outcome. What would be a more helpful response? Instead of firing off an angry email, could you walk over and have a calm conversation? Instead of honking your horn and cursing at the other driver, could you take a deep breath and put on some calming music? You always have a choice. Anger wants you to believe you don't, but you always, always do. Now, these first two steps are reactive. They help you deal with anger as it arises. But the Stoics were also masters of proactive mental training. They believed in preparing the mind for the challenges of the day, just as a soldier prepares for battle. This leads us to the third technique, negative visualization, or as the Romans called it, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This sounds grim, but it's actually a recipe for tranquility. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius would prepare himself for the day ahead by saying something like this: "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, love, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." He wasn't being pessimistic, he was being realistic. He was inoculating himself against surprise. When you expect the world to be perfect, every flaw becomes a source of outrage. When you expect your day to go exactly as planned, every interruption feels like a personal attack. But if you start your day by calmly anticipating that things might go wrong, that people might be difficult, that technology, might fail, that plans might change, you rob these events of their power to shock and anger you. When the frustrating event inevitably happens, your mind doesn't react with, "This shouldn't be happening." Instead, it says, "Ah, there it is. I was expecting this." This mental rehearsal disarms your triggers before they can even be pulled. You can practice this in a very practical way. Before a difficult conversation, visualize it going poorly. Before a stressful commute, imagine there will be traffic. By doing this, you're not inviting disaster, you're practicing acceptance. And acceptance is the antidote to anger. Building on this is our fourth technique, the view from above. This is a powerful perspective-shifting exercise. When you find yourself consumed by a trivial annoyance, a spilled coffee, a critical comment, a long line at the store, practice zooming out. Imagine yourself floating up out of your body, looking down at the scene. Then float higher, seeing your entire city. Higher still, until you see the curve of the earth. See the planet as a tiny blue marble suspended in the vast silent emptiness of space. See the sweep of human history, the rise and fall of empires, the billions of lives that have come and gone. Now, from this cosmic perspective, look back down at your problem. The spilled coffee, the annoying comment, the traffic jam. How significant is it really? In the grand scheme of your entire life, let alone the history of the cosmos, it's practically nothing. A speck of dust on a speck of dust. This isn't meant to invalidate your feelings, but to contextualize them. It shrinks the problem down to its true size. It reminds you that most of what we get angry about is, in the grand scheme of things, profoundly unimportant. This mental maneuver can instantly diffuse the emotional charge of a situation and restore a sense of calm and proportion. Finally, we arrive at the fifth and perhaps most foundational Stoic practice, separating the event from the judgment. We touched on this earlier, but it deserves its own focus because it is the engine that drives all the other techniques. Epictetus stated it most clearly. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. Let's make this incredibly concrete. Imagine two people. Both are fired from their jobs. Person A's internal judgment is, "This is a catastrophe. I've been humiliated. My career is over. The person who fired me is a monster." The emotional result? Intense anger, despair, and bitterness. Person B is fired from the same job. Their internal judgment is, "This is an event. It is painful and difficult, but it is also an opportunity. Perhaps this job wasn't the right fit. This is a chance to reevaluate, learn, and find something better." The emotional result? Disappointment, certainly, but also a sense of resolve, resilience, and even optimism. The event was identical. The judgment about the event was what created two entirely different realities. Your work is to constantly practice this separation in the small moments of your day. My partner didn't do the dishes. That is the event. It is a neutral fact. My partner is lazy and doesn't respect me. That is the judgment. It is a story. And it is that story which causes the anger. Can you stop at the event? Can you simply observe the fact without instantly attaching a toxic narrative to it? This is a mental muscle. The more you practice it with small things, the dishes, the traffic, the weather, the stronger it will become, and the more prepared you will be when larger challenges arise. Mastering these 5 techniques: the Stoic checkpoint, questioning your impressions, negative visualization. The view from above and separating the event from the judgment is not a quick fix. It is a lifelong practice. There will be days when you fail. You will get angry. You will say things you regret. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is to be a little better today than you were yesterday. When you slip up, do not get angry at yourself for being angry. That is just another trap. Instead, view it with curiosity. Analyze what happened. Which judgment led to the outburst? Where did you fail to pause? Every failure is data. It's a lesson for next time. What we are really talking about is not just anger management. It's about a complete re-engineering of your inner world. It's about cultivating a state of mind the Stoics called apatheia, not apathy or indifference, but a state of tranquility and freedom from disturbing passions. It's a state of being where you are not tossed about by the waves of external events, but are anchored by your own solid, rational, and virtuous character. The world will continue to be a frustrating and unpredictable place. People will continue to be difficult. Your circumstances will not always be ideal. That will never change. The only thing you can truly change, the only thing you truly have dominion over, is your own mind. Anger promises power but delivers weakness. It feels like a shield but is actually a poison. True strength is not the ability to lash out, but the ability to remain calm, rational, and in control of ours. Nestle, when tested. It is the quiet, unshakable resilience of the person who has mastered their inner world. This is the freedom the Stoics were offering us, a freedom that no one can ever take away from you. By learning to control your anger, you are not diminishing yourself. You are becoming more powerful, more peaceful, and more fully human than you ever thought possible. You are reclaiming the keys to your own mind. And with them, you can unlock a life of profound and lasting inner peace. If this exploration of Stoic wisdom resonated with you, show your support by liking and subscribing. Now, I leave you with a question to reflect on. What is the one trigger you will practice the Stoic pause on this week? Share your commitment below.